Welcome to Between Two Pastries, a not-so-typical nutrition podcast. Nicole and Annie are licensed and registered dietitians. Join them as they discuss hot nutrition topics, challenge popular beliefs, and have a blast doing it. Here are your hosts, Nicole and Annie.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Between Two Pastries. This is Nicole.
Hey, everyone. It's Annie.
We decided to kind of talk about fueling around sport, or kind of what we are seeing with people not fueling around sport.
Again, we're going to talk about this again. Nicole, you do a lot of work with all age groups and anyone participating in sports, amateurs, rookies,
Yes,
collegiate, professional. Okay. I do too. So all different levels, all different things, all different sports, but primarily someone seeks us out because they're an endurance athlete. That's just tends to, they don't have to be, but that's usually majority. Okay. Right. So do you ever see the athlete who, let's throw out some different scenarios, who is dizzy all the time. I'm lightheaded. I just don't feel good when I'm doing my sport.
Yep.
That's fairly common. And oftentimes you give them the advice, and if they listen, they never experience it again. But you give them the advice and then they don't, and it continues to happen. And this is the part that I think gets me the most. They continue to seek you out and you say the same thing again.
Right.
And there's not even a disagreement. Mm-hmm. It's not like a fight of what you're saying. It's just simply, I don't know. I don't want to do that. I don't want to eat, or I don't want to, whatever it might be. I don't get it.
Yeah.
Well, then why are you participating in your sport?
I agree. And I think that there's a couple of things there. I do believe that it's based off of a belief system, right? You're not telling them whatever it is that they want to hear. And we don't even know what that is. Like, we're just like laying down some facts, and they have some fear of food.
But if something makes you, and to this example, hypoglycemic, and you're shaky, and you're nauseated and dizzy, you don't want to fix that?
Right.
And all the advice is, are you eating throughout the day? I don't even care what you're eating. Like, are you just eating? And did you have a snack before your activity?
Yeah.
Well, I'm not hungry.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, then you're not a really good athlete either, I guess. Like, I mean, I hate to say that, but like,
I know.
If you're so incredibly unwilling
to
fuel for your sport, fuel for growth, just do the basics, I don't know, live.
Right.
Well, then why do you keep talking? Stop talking to me then?
Right.
I mean, again, I know that's really, inappropriate to say, but it's frustrating because it's a constant, I'm seeking you out for free.
Yes. Yeah.
And I'm not going to actually listen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which we've talked about this.
Right. Well, they're in the contemplative state of change.
Correct. Yes. Right.
They haven't passed out yet.
No. Well, yeah, that's exactly right. But I have another example of someone, every time they race or essentially overexert in a hard workout, they throw up.
Yeah.
So I literally, here's what you need to do, and it will literally go away.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Do you not want it to go away? Like, do you find some sort of satisfaction in vomiting every time? Like, you shouldn't.
But again,
but like, all I asked was, can you get in a Gatorade?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Or like substance?
Mm-hmm.
That's too much to ask?
Mm-hmm.
Why? I don't get it.
It's change. And again, if there is a belief that if they do anything different or eat something that they haven't, they truly believe it will affect their performance.
Wouldn't you rather try it and see? Because you can always go back,
I
right?
agree.
Like,
yeah, you can always go back to throwing up all the time.
who gives a flying fuck if you
Right.
have one bad performance? I've gone into races like I'm gonna just throw it all out there,
Right.
and I've had to DNF because that was the wrong choice in that day.
Sure.
Well, who the fuck cares? There's
Right.
1,000 races every weekend around the United States. Like, give
Right.
it a rest. And no one cares.
Right.
No one cares.
Right.
Unfortunately, though, I think you've got younger populations, high school age, college age, who are on structured teams
Correct.
versus just, amateur sport
Mm-hmm.
that are getting that pressure. If you don't perform, you will not play.
Right.
If you don't perform, you don't get a letter. If you don't perform
Right.
this way, you suck at life.
Right. Right. Right.
So I can understand, well, I'm too scared, I can't add that in, because at least if I perform here at this level,
Yes,
I don't hear that I suck.
it's acceptable. Correct.
It's acceptable.
Mm-hmm.
I've made it this far, so that's okay. And although what you're telling me might improve me, it may also bring me down.
Right.
And I'm too afraid to even try that, even though all you're asking me to do is sip out a fucking Gatorade.
So what's interesting is that there is, again, more emphasis with outcome and external factors than actual health,
Correct.
than survival.
Correct.
Then my body must be so stressed out because I'm literally throwing up or convulsing or getting dizzy or what have you.
Right. Physiological things.
Correct.
As it relates
Yeah.
to our blood pressure, our heart, and our gut. What? We're going to mess around with that? Okay, cool.
I know.
Cool.
That's what's so interesting.
Like, okay, this isn't just about hunger and fullness. This isn't just about, being anabolic and catabolic. This is like, you're literally messing with your heart.
Yes.
With this stuff.
Yes.
Are they just not learning that? Like, is that just not a learned thing anymore?
There's just such a disconnect. It is just such a disconnect. Again, because the body to so many people is something you control, something you manipulate, something you make do something.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, it's really sad.
I kind of athletics, not really, but I was approached by a younger gentleman, and I had a cup of coffee. I drink decaf 99% of the time. So it was just, a thermos of coffee, and he had an energy drink, and he's like, what do you do? Do you think coffee's better? What do you think? And he's, having that whole caffeine conversation. Oh. And I said, honestly, like, before you even can talk about pros and cons of caffeine, coffee versus energy drink, what you should know is that the energy drinks and the cans that you're drinking, majority are not regulated. Majority are not FDA approved. Like, what? Really? I had no idea. I'm like, it says it on the can. I don't know. Like, it says it right there. Like, but to me, that's good information. But again, so many people they're so habitual.
Yeah.
They're so, as we've talked about it, they're so robotic.
Yeah.
Are you just making conversation? Because you're not going to start drinking coffee.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're not going to, just because I say, well, coffee is natural, you can have, so many milligrams a day, it's not going to affect you, blah, blah, blah. We know it's certified, or it's, it's FDA approved, essentially. You're not going to change. Why the hell are you asking me about this?
Yeah. Well, no, and that's true. And the other curious piece, I think, too, is the amount of risk that people are willing to take with an unknown substance. This energy drink, any kind of these ergogenic aids. Again, none of that stuff is regulated at all. And so much of that is so overstimulating to the central nervous system. So people are so willing to take that risk of harming themselves, but they will balk at the risk of helping themselves.
It's so weird.
To your point of, well, if you want to stop throwing up, then let's at least start by trying and having some Gatorade and or a piece of fruit at this point.
Yeah.
Oh, Oh my God. Oh my gosh.
I don't even care what you eat.
I mean, I can't even, how could I possibly do that?
Right.
But Annie, if you would have said, why don't you go buy a Monster drink?
Yeah, go get a Celsius.
Have that at noon.
Hmm. That would
And
have been okay.
I guarantee it's going to go away.
Hmm.
Oh, that just sounds so much more reasonable.
Right. Right.
This is what I mean. It's so interesting to me, the risk that people put themselves on a daily basis and the amount of trust in non-regulated substances and non-regulated posing professionals out there.
Advice. Yeah. Right.
Isn't it? It's so interesting to me.
Well, I mean, even in your younger population, there was,
Sure.
and again, switching gears, and I only know this because I have a 16-year-old in the house. The amount of TikTok videos about
Oh,
monkeypox
oh gosh.
and her coming out and saying, "Well, did you know this?" And I'm like, "That's not true. Did you know this? That's
Oh my
not true.
gosh.
Like that's not even how that works."
Wow.
And it's the same thing with food. That there's so, I mean, again, it's this, we're deviating off of sports, but like there's so much that people are believing. And then when someone like, again, and I think I said this not too long ago on a podcast, someone like you or I comes around and just says, "Hey, can you just consume 6 ounces of Gatorade and it'll go
Right.
away?" That is
Right.
just not okay.
I know. Yeah.
Hey, you just need to have a piece of candy. What now? I've got a couple clients who, I can't eat this or can't eat that, or, again, working around what they believe to be intolerances or whatever, and going out of town and stuff like that. And it's like, well, I was going to pack this, and this, and it's like, just pack just pack what you enjoy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't have to be all about, I have to pack X, Y, and Z because it's healthier based on what I'm doing, whatever race or event.
Oh, sure.
These are all athletes, right? So it's, I have to pack these. It's like, no, just enjoy. Half of this whole deal is so you can enjoy the experience.
Sure. Sure.
And I think we forget about that, whether you're competing competitively or you're an amateur. Over 50% of why you sign up or participate is to have fun.
Mm-hmm.
And we lose all of that.
Mm-hmm.
And we make it very, I have to do this and I have to do this and I have to do this. And you tell them to
like
sleep. They won't.
Yeah.
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 But even though you tell them like, well, if you're going to be that serious about it, you really need, 8 hours of sleep and you need to eat these things and you need to stretch. And then they don't do those things.
Mm-hmm.
So what exactly do you want to gain?
You're right.
And I have started to ask athletes that, because what exactly you're trying to get out of this sport, this experience,
Yeah.
this part of your life. What's the whole point? Because if you're unwilling to sleep, you're unwilling to eat at these times and 3,000 calories or this amount of protein or this or whatever. And I get it. There's psychological, we can dive into how a lot of these things we can unearth an eating disorder. And again, that's our job. We find those things very easily, right? Like, right. But in many instances, there is no underlying eating disorder. It's this, I want to be able to run the marathon, or I want to be able to play the basketball game. I want to be able to do these things, but I don't actually want to do all of the boring bullshit that goes with it.
Correct. Yeah. I agree with you.
I want to be cool and I want to wear the shoes and I want to, like be able to, have all the fans and do the things.
But not
sleep.
But not willing to put in the type of work or consistency or whatever that would require. Yeah.
If you want to call yourself an athlete, or even, in many ways, and many people are athletes, many people, anyone who's participating in sport is an athlete, but you have to want to do the basics.
Yes.
Period. And as it relates to food, that means eating breakfast, eating lunch, eating snack, supporting your body.
Yeah.
And if your body is your body's resilient. So oftentimes you don't know when it's under stress. You don't know when it's struggling. Mm-hmm. But when your body isn't resilient enough and you start throwing up, you start getting dizzy, you start having those physiological shifts because your body's not resilient enough.
Right.
because that's how far gone it is. That's not your red flag.
Yes, I would agree with you. I would agree with you. How much is it going to take? Like, what is it going to take? Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, I often find with some of the athletes that I have worked with, when we come together, say after an event or something like that, and they didn't do so well, or they were experiencing certain symptoms at certain times, or you know what I'm saying, like not making it through quite as well as they wanted to, you know, it's the same thing as what you were saying. It's like they want to do the event, but they're not willing to treat themselves as an athlete outside of the event.
Correct.
So the thing is that what people don't understand is that your training for the event, your nutrition for the event starts months before the event.
Right.
Like you have got to, and again,
Right.
you want, and we think we did another pod on, what does it mean to be an athlete? If you want to truly be this athlete for this particular event, you're going to need to be an athlete, meaning you have to fuel whether you want to or not, because
Correct.
this isn't a time for intuitive eating, so to speak.
Right.
What I'm saying is, yes, you do that too, based on the preferencing, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you sometimes have to, regardless if you feel hunger or not, you have to fuel, because your body is literally a training machine at this point. It is a machine that requires, and because of the stress level that your body is under, your ability to discern when you're hungry or not is going to be incredibly skewed.
Correct. Right.
And this is what people really struggle with in the part or the commitment to being an athlete.
Oh, 100%. I would say we see this most with people, wanting to do the marathon, whether it's a first time or they've been doing this for a long time. I will do those 4 to 7, 8 gels during the marathon. I will eat breakfast and I'll eat all the things before the marathon. But that person doesn't eat breakfast most days of the week. They don't fuel in any of their runs. They don't carry water. They don't. And it's like, I'm confused.
Because all you're doing is stressing your body out like mad crazy.
Correct. So what about an event gives you permission to fuel? And what about normal training?
Mm-hmm. Doesn't. Right.
Isn't running?
Yeah.
Isn't biking and, doing your sport we have collegiate athletes who are doing 2 to 4 hours a day of their sport.
Yeah.
But during the meet and during the game, I can fuel at halftime, I can fuel them.
Then I can be
but
serious
not in my
or whatever.
practice.
No, I know.
I don't get it.
Again, it's the mindset of how serious are they taking their training? Are they, I'll have some people that will consider the exercise they're doing not really exercise, because it's not really enough. You'll have that piece going on, right? Or again, as we just talked about before, what it comes down is, what's their whole motive for sport anyway? Is it weight loss? Is it weight
100%.
control? Is it body image? Is it everything and anything else besides, I just really have a lot of joy moving my body in this particular way, and I might as well compete at it then.
Right. Exactly.
Now, what's the underlying motivator? Because that underlying motivator is going to determine your actions or inactions and choices.
Right. But don't be surprised when you're regardless of your motivation, you're choosing not to fuel properly leading up to your event, in your event, after your event. You're not feeling willing to fuel appropriately, period. Don't be surprised when you get injured. Don't be surprised when you're anemic. Don't be surprised when you can't sleep. You've got insomnia. You've got low-grade depression. You're starting to get anxiety. Yeah. Like, don't then come to me and say, well, you screwed up my training. You screwed up my nutrition. You screwed up. No. You're not actually doing the things.
Right.
For whatever reason, people don't want to point fingers at themselves. But 9 times out of 10, it is that person's own wrongdoing as to why they are injured, are sick, are this or that or whatever, because of this lack of consideration for all of the things that go into being an athlete: sleep, diet,
Agreed.
training, all of the things.
Agreed.
It's frustrating, and it's, again, fueling for sport is not necessarily easy, but once you have it, you have it.
You have it.
So you screw up a race or a training run because you're trying to figure it out.
Yeah, totally.
Who cares? That's good. If you figure out your sports nutrition regimen and plan, give or take for the most part, you've got it.
Exactly.
I don't get it.
But it requires the training. It requires training your body to receive food while you're moving. It requires that consistency of adaptation, the ability for that adaptation. Because I'll also have the client be like, oh, I can't eat around blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, oh my gosh, it's actually not true, but you're going to need to start, you're going to need to start kind of doing this,
I hear all the time, and maybe you do too. I hear it from high school level, college level, and then I hear it from adults as well. So this is across the board normal. I don't eat breakfast. It makes my stomach hurt. Okay, then here's the ramifications of that.
Correct. I mean, it's just like, there's a reason why your stomach is hurting.
Right.
It could be because you're consistently not eating.
Correct. Bingo.
It could be because when was your last meal? Is there, most people are dehydrated in the morning.
I was going to say hydration.
More severe dehydration in the morning. Again, there's reasons for that. Enzymes are being produced. You have, food on a quote unquote dry stomach. Let's just call it that. Yeah, your stomach's going to struggle. Your stomach's going to struggle because it's not woken up yet, because there hasn't been any liquid to waken it up and go, oh, okay. And then it's not able to function and do its job. We don't just go, oh, stomach hurts. We just don't do things. No.
Oh, but they do. That's what everyone does. And it blows my mind. Well, my stomach, I can't eat in the morning because it hurts my stomach.
I know.
Your stomach is hurting, and now it's
no, I know. Yeah. No.
And I see it from athletes too.
Sure.
Athletes do this all the time. I can't eat in the morning. It upsets my stomach.
Right. And that's the thing. But the thing is like, we've got to figure out the why is that happening? Are you binging late at night that you're not talking about? And, that's creating, something in the morning. I'm just making a list here. I mean, it could be so many different things.
It's frustrating. And if any listeners have any insight as to how you went from crazy to normalized fueling, right? Or no fueling to actually starting to fuel. I mean, all I can think of is what people have told me. They just closed their eyes and listened. And they reminded themselves, I can always go back to the way things were. Again, because
well, that's part of the accepting of change is you just do, you don't think about it,
Well, and I think there's also this misunderstanding of what we do. Like, I don't know if this happens to you, where someone approaches you or comes in and is like, well, this is what's happening, so what do I do? And it's like, this isn't that easy. This isn't like just this, like, I'm experiencing X and therefore, like, I need to know there's so many things that are involved in why you're experiencing. Let's say I'm lightheaded. What do I do? I don't know.
Yeah, I know.
Like, we can't just have this conversation on the sidewalk here. There's, and I mean,
and that is why this is
so
science
devalued,
and it requires a lot of training.
Correct.
This is why you cannot earn a certificate by reading a manual and call yourself a sports nutritionist. Like, this is why, because the depth of how this stuff works is so vast.
Right. I don't understand it. And there's a level of devalue that I think we certainly feel, but also like that people, again, just don't understand what we can do. And you can't just say, I did this, so now what do I do? What should I eat?
I think the thing is that, again, There's a lack of respect. There's a lack of respect for the complexity of a body, to the complexity of science, to the complexity of how we each operate very individually. There's a lack of understanding and respect to that is a very true thing. Again, we aren't just little trinkets that we have to just change a battery every now and again, or, oh, there goes the arm bends weird. Oh, like a Gumby, right? Just bend it back. It's that simple. It's not.
Right.
And I don't know why we think that, these questions are just one-off answers, black and white, and that anybody and everybody out there has an answer for it.
Right.
It's like, oh gosh.
Well, and you get these approaches and it's like, I can't solve I don't even know what to tell you. Like, I don't know anything about you.
Right.
What meds you're on.
Yeah.
When you say you ate breakfast, but you can't tell me what foods, like, I don't want to give you advice. I don't know what you know what I mean?
Just
like, if
you being ethical and responsible. So thank you for not giving them advice.
I know. Like, I can't.
Yeah,
I can't pass judgment at that point.
Right. I mean, you're setting yourself up for, potentially hurting that individual and, whatever. So,
right.
Yeah.
Right. It's frustrating.
Yeah, I agree.
Right. Completely. So just my 2 cents on that.
So again, long story short, fuel consistently, not just around your sport. The fueling needs to be consistent every single day, depending on the timing of when you're eating and what have you, but every single day. So anyway, All right, guys.
Well, that's it.
Please eat. Bye-bye.
Have questions you want to hear discussed on the show? Find us on Facebook or visit between2pastries.com and drop us a line. Want to support the show? Find us on Patreon for exclusive content. If you love the show, find us on iTunes or your favorite podcast platform. Hit the subscribe button and leave us a review.